G'day, welcome back to the first episode of Ethan's Wildlife for the year. Sorry it's been a little bit slower than usual. There's been a lot of rain and I should have been using it to take advantage of finding frogs and things like that, but I've been trying to wait it out, and we're going up northwards to the Gympie region, but this time it'll rain as well, but I'll take full advantage of it. At the moment we're on the north side of Brisbane, just to start off this episode, and then we'll head our way up north. I hope you guys enjoy. It's an eastern bearded dragon, one of the more common large lizards around here, and this is quite a small one. We noticed each other at the same time, and he sort of hid around the other side of the log and flattened himself out, but I can still see him. They're probably one of our most well-known lizards, but this is not the bearded dragon species that is kept as a pet typically, but this is the one that usually shows up in people's gardens right along the eastern half of Australia. They're typically a greyer colour compared to the more yellow to tan colour of the centrals, and they're got more spikes on the flank, and the spikes on the back of the head are in an angled line rather than a straight line. The mouth is also bright yellow, and the bearded dragon will use that along with puffing out his dewlap, which is also known as a beard, so he looks big and intimidating to try and scare off any birds or anything that might want to eat him. He's just got his eyes locked on me, making sure I don't come any closer. But he doesn't need to worry, of course I'm not going to eat him. I love bearded dragons. Isn't he cute? Well, I'll leave him be and continue on our way, eh? Well, I would have loved to have stayed longer, but unfortunately it's just about time for me to leave for work, so we'll have to continue this trip when we leave. So it won't be long for you guys, but it'll be a couple days for me. We have an eastern grey kangaroo. It's the second largest living marsupial, and the largest marsupial that can be found in eastern Australia. They're herbivorous, and they live in groups called mobs. Unlike the red kangaroo, which is the larger one, they have woolly grey fur like this. It's to keep them warm in more temperate climates. So there's one here, and then there's also a female with a joey. That's what you call a baby kangaroo. As marsupials, the joey is born very prematurely, and is about the size of a jelly bean, and then will be raised in the pouch of the female until it's large enough to be independent. This one is still dependent on mum, but he's getting bigger and he's just having a drink of milk now. It looks like kangaroos can't actually walk. You see these feet? They're for hopping, and that tail is very powerful and acts like a rudder. It can steer them and even act as a third leg. When they're not hopping, they'll crawl around on all fours, but they can't walk properly, so they have to sort of drag their feet along behind them. And hopping is actually a very effective form of locomotion. It's actually more effective than running. So these guys have it worked out. Alright, let's leave them. This is a little baby cane toad. You can tell because you can still see that bony ridge on the snout that our native frogs don't get. And yeah, well, being Queensland, there's always going to be lots of toads around, but luckily there's still some beautiful native frogs. Striped marsh frog, first find of the night, quite common, and well, I've shown you this guy before, but they're very distinctive. Now this is a really cool species. This is what's known as a great barred frog, and they're called barred frogs because of that striping that's on their legs, the type of ground frog, but they're actually from a different family of ground frogs to the striped marsh frogs that we were showing you earlier. These guys are from the Myobatrachidae family, and they're quite large, and they have these really cool big black eyes which are really distinctive for this species. Oh, this is a giant barred frog. It's an endangered species and a very close relative of the great barred frog. Only thing is it's much larger, and you can see its eyes are a golden colour rather than a black like we saw earlier. This frog is so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. Wow. But yeah, unfortunately this species is endangered, mostly due to chytrid fungus and habitat loss. Isn't he beautiful? Short-beaked echidna. I just startled him and he's curled up into his defensive position and he's burrowed himself into the ground. So if I was a predator, I wouldn't be able to come and attack him. Be protected by those spines and be near impossible for me to pull him out of the ground because they're incredibly strong. Like all monotremes, they're an egg-laying mammal. They're just an absolutely remarkable species. They can be found across pretty much all of Australia, in all environment types, from rainforests through to alpine mountains and even deserts. They've got no teeth, like all living monotremes. They've got like bony pads on the back of their throats that used to crush up their insect prey. Wow, how remarkable. Well, we'll leave this guy to it. Oh, he's going to stick his head out to have a look. Oh. I'm still here. Quick, hide. Alright, we'll leave this guy be. Well, now we've just gotten back from our trip up to Gympie. I'd say that was a pretty successful trip. I was really stoked about that giant barred frog. Absolutely incredible animal. And yeah, we got to see a good variety of frogs and a couple of mammals, even a bearded dragon at the start there. I was very happy with this trip and can't wait to see you guys in the next episode, which will be coming out shortly.